So what do you remember about the band when you started teaching at Madison?
Well, I remember that the thing that I learned at Michigan was to take 8 steps to 5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can keep the line straight, and you can march down the field in a block band or with people on the yard lines. And so I did a lot of drilling of marching up and down the field.
Did the school have a marching band when you joined?
They had a marching band. There were 63 kids. I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe it was 73. That were signed up for band. It's amazing what kids will go through, no matter how bad it is. And the first game, we did enough practice that they could do that 8 to 5 more going down the field. In the first game, I could have been elected king of the hill or something, because the band was so much better. Was able to do the marching 8 to 5, and the arrangements that I made, they everything they played was some arrangement that I made.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about Rah Rah for Madison.
Oh yeah, which later became TY for Tygers. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, she was just using the previous gal that taught, who didn't know a whole lot about band, was using published arrangements, and they for everything, and they weren't too successful. But he made, of course, has always made all of his own, and learned a lot more about that, I guess, at Michigan, or maybe you just figured it all out. But he's always been so good at that. He knows how to do it to make things sound better. And you use just not too many parts, and have a lot of people on a part, and the band sounded like $1 million compared to what it had. So everybody thought he was a hero. They thought he was smarter than he was.
What the thing to do then at that time was still making formations.
Mm-hmm.
Like we played, they cut down the old pine tree, you make a pine tree, and you make a prop saw,
mm-hmm.
and have a couple of people pretend to cut it down. Can't remember what themes.
Do you remember some of the songs you played in the band played back then?
What's that?
Do you remember some of the music that the band played back then?
Yeah, we usually played only half of a tune, and then played a drum cadence and go to the next formation, and then another half of a tune, or short version of the tune. I don't remember.
Were you playing like popular music from the time?
Yeah, yes.
Because he made all the arrangements.
Because you could make the arrangements, yeah.
They were obviously illegal arrangements, because there were published ones of some of them, but they weren't satisfactory.
I rearranged the school song, because the school song was da 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 da. Is that Notre Dame? Da,
yeah,
da,
I think so.
Da, da, da. I don't know. They're still using my arrangement of the of the school song.
Mm-hmm. So and it wasn't a very big school back then, right?
No, it wasn't, but it grew really fast. And we did a different show every week, except if you went to an away game, you would do one of the same. And after 5 or 6 years of it, we kind of made a good reputation around, and that's when the guy at Senior High, Ted Tangenhorst, had a heart attack and had to give up the band. And he called me up, and we met secretly
Mm-hmm.
at an unknown restaurant in Mansfield to discuss why I should leave Madison
Uh-huh.
and go to Mansfield Senior High.
Yeah, he wasn't at all sure it was a good idea, but it was a good idea.
Yeah,
So, and senior high was a much bigger school at that time?
much.
It had an orchestra too.
Bigger, and then had the orchestra.
So you were...
And you taught, you had choir too, didn't you, some? No, that was because somebody got sick.
Yeah,
And he had to take the choir
girl.
too. But he could do that. He could do all of those things. So.
When you were at Madison, was that where you became good friends with the football coach?
Yes, Roger McGee, and he didn't. They didn't understand when I went there why I needed lines on the field for practice, because the band had never before paid any attention to them, and they didn't have a practice field. So it was the game field, which was right behind the school, where the band practiced. And he helped me line off the field. We bought sacks of lime, had grapefruit cans with the lid off, measured it off and ran strings across. And here, the head football coach and I spread lime on the field.
Mm-hmm. To mark it off just for the band to
Mark
practice,
it
huh?
off for the band practice. And I think they probably had somebody to do it for the games. One of the most disturbing band shows I ever had was at Crestline. It was either that year or the next year. We went over to Crestline to play, and the people who had lined the field were only going to line it every 20 yards. And they started at one end. They started both ends at the same time, and when they got to the middle, they had 7 yards. And they tried to erase them and put in some other lines, and there were just lines all over the place.
And the band kids relied on those lines to know where to march, right? Yeah.
I don't know how it ever worked out, but it was sad.
What about? I remember you had a story once about the insert lines weren't there.
Yeah, I was just thinking that was at senior high. The inserts had been, the people that lined the field had put the inserts in the wrong place. So
what is the insert line? Is that the little cross line that's out?
The inside is a third of the way across the field.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's the third. I
Yeah,
can't remember. Right. I used to know exactly what it was. 28 steps, anyway, from the sideline and you're to the insert. 28 steps. Keep going 28 steps and you're on the next insert. Keep going 28 steps and you're on the sideline. So for half a chorus, 32 steps, you could go from the sideline to the insert and mark time 4, and you're halfway through the song.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just kind of works out that way. But they had the inserts on in the wrong place. So I grabbed the limer, and every time there was a timeout, I ran on the field and kind of guessed at where the insert should be and ran it. Finally, one time, the announcer said, "Will the band director please get off the field?" I said, "Better me." Somebody said, "Didn't you feel foolish doing it?" And I said, "I'd rather feel foolish than having the kids look foolish."
That's good.
Wasn't that a wonderful statement? Okay. Nancy, are you awake?
No.
What do you remember about the early days once you started at senior high then? Were you were band, orchestra, and choir?
I know I was band and orchestra.
So what year was this that was the beginning?
1958, fall of 1958. I was at Madison 6 years, 51 through 58.
Well, that's not.
Wait, no, 51 was when you went to Michigan.
Right. 51.
It was 52. Fall of 52. We came to Mansfield.
Fall of 52, I guess.
Now, was at senior high? Were you there when the music annex was built, or was that already there when you started?
The music annex was built the year before I went there. I was the first one to use it.
And were you the last one, or no?
I'm the last one to use it.
Or they tore it down after you left?
Yeah,
a couple of years.
Well, the last couple of years I was there, they dedicated it, the building to me. That plaque is out front, you know, out front here.
In the ground, that's a plaque.
So.
But then they tore the whole school down and built what we had, what the senior high is now.
They had the heating pipes put in the ground with no way to get to them. In the first winter, they sprung a leak, and they had to dig it up. I mean, really dig it up.
Where?
It was right where the office is.
They were embedded in the concrete?
Yeah, or in the mud, in the dirt, embedded somehow. In fact, right now there's a big plate. There's a big metal plate there where they can take it out to get to the pipes. But this was in the winter, and we had to have band practice on the stage. In those rooms at the back of the auditorium, you know, they're nothing but coat rooms or storage rooms. That's where people had to keep their instruments. I mean, it was a mess.
Thankfully,
because it happened after football season. So it was in the winter. But they finally got it fixed, I guess. Although there was always something seemed like happening. The back of the band room had those cupboards with folding doors, and they put the heaters inside the cupboard, wall heaters.
Yeah. And they built the cupboards outside the...
And then built the cupboards. And it was kind of an overhang on the building, too. And when it rained hard, came in and flooded the place. So all wasn't...
Well, then that school isn't still there. It's torn down.
All right. Well, everybody who is in the band remembers the band room well. I'm sure all those wooden lockers along the wall there, and the instrument room. And I remember the room where you kept all the music down there in the bottom corner. Had some instruments in there.
When they first built it, the filing cabinets were in the place where the office is. But then there wasn't enough room for them. And that room, that big long room on the far side of the thing was supposed to be for a large sectional practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it was intended for. But you could hear it right through the wall was right next to the choir room.
Oh, yeah.
And you could, I mean, it was absolutely no good for that. if the choir was singing, you may as well have been in there with them, and you can imagine what instruments sounded like in the choir, in the choir room. You know, that is really stupid. How could an architect been that dumb?
Well, maybe they weren't a musician. They weren't thinking about the. They weren't thinking about the
noise
audio aspects of it. They were just thinking about the floor plan design and.
Although
I don't think it was necessarily designed all at once either.
I think it was. There was an article in Triad, I think, about when they built it, that it was what the modern band room should look like. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It did have an acoustical center where the director stood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Supposedly you could stand there and speak and you would be heard distinctly, and you could also hear distinctly.
Did it work?
Oh, sort of.
I don't remember that at all. I was busy having kids.
Well, we brought you up to date now.
Yeah. So tell me again what about the school fight songs. So there's the Across the Field, which is
Ohio State's fight song, and a guy named Dick Heine did all of the arranging for Ohio State marching band, and he was a friend of Ted Tangenhorst, who was the band director there
at Senior High before you.
At the Senior High, and he got him to make an arrangement of Across the Field, which is what Ohio State had, and he had a lot of eighth notes in the counter melody part that I knew weren't going to be played.
Mm-hmm.
So I rearranged the school fight song.
Well, so that was your arrangement of that we played?
So it was close to what he had done, but the counter melody, I da 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 da, and he had a lot of bum 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 bum, which I knew weren't going to be played. They were going to be struggling with. So I did that. Then TY for Tygers.
So you said that was originally a Madison song?
Yeah, that was.
Was Raw for Madison. But did you make that one up?
No, the cheerleaders were in the band and they sang it to me. Rah rah from Madison, and they had people sing it in the stands. So I made a band arrangement of it. And when I went to Senior High, I just changed it, just wrote it.
Change the words.
For Tygers, which really fits better. Joe Hopkins visited me once, and he was so impressed he wrote a song called Roll Tygers, which was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And we did learn it and sent him a copy, I think, and we played it. But what we didn't need was another school song.
Mm-hmm. And then you made a jazz arrangement of Across the Field too, right?
Da, 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 da,
oh, Tygers are great.
Yeah, Tygers are great.
Great. Tygers are great.
Yeah, well, that was a cheerleader song too.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah. But that didn't come from Madison. I think that came from,
Yeah.
I don't know when that came. That wouldn't have come before T.Y. for.
I remember playing that a lot in the pep band,
Yeah.
the basketball games. We probably played it in the stands at the football games too, huh? If the cheerleaders led that as a cheer.
Yeah. So I must have added that later too.
And then you did a jazz arrangement of Across the Field too, right? That the stage band played.
Yeah.
Was that was your arrangement?
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I even arranged it for marching band once, but it was too hard. I never had nerve enough to try it, and I had to agree it wouldn't have meant that much to the audience. I did learn how to play it with one group, but the kids in the jazz band really liked it, but everybody else didn't relate to it as well.
And then we used to play that with the summer union band too, didn't we?
Uh-huh. And I later on changed the name to Buckeye
Swing?
Buckeye Swing. Yeah. Buckeye Swing. And Von Weiser has a copy of it and played it. Some other band in Columbus, Rick Brunetto, wanted it, so I gave him a copy. And
that's good. You get more mileage out of it because it's not just a Mansfield song. Huh? It's an Ohio song.
That's right. And Dave Larley liked it so much. He, when he was at Ontario there, I wrote a jazz arrangement or swing arrangement of their fight song, which was Go You Northwestern, I think, which ended up pretty good, but I don't think anybody in Ontario plays it anymore.
The Malabar fight song was that from one of the Michigan?
Yeah. The funny part of it was when Eddie took the job at Malabar when it opened up, or when Norm Gaines had it at first. He was an Ohio State graduate, and Malabar had a Michigan song for its song, and here I was a Michigan graduate and had Ohio State song.
Yeah, did Michigan have did Malabar have a jazz band arrangement of their song too?
No, I don't think they do. No, Malabar never had a swing arrangement of their. I don't know where he got the arrangement. Maybe I arranged it. Maybe I did it. I might have done it for him, or I might have had it.
The marching band one for
I might have had it. Just because I used it, could have used it sometime.
So Malabar wasn't around when you started, was that right?
No.
They created the school and then they.
That's right.
Yeah.
In fact, that first year I taught at senior high, the enrollment was so big that all the high school students couldn't fit at senior high, and a couple hundred of them were put up at Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were sophomores. Well, all of them were sophomores that were put up out there. And then we went on half-day shifts. That's when they wanted to build a new high school out in the Malabar area, and they condemned the property, the Sterkel property out there,
Uh-huh.
but they never were able to get it. It took several years.
Hmm.
So in the meantime, they were having half-day sessions at the senior high.
Yeah, one group came real early in the morning and was done at 1 o'clock or something, and the other one came just before lunch and went till late afternoon. Is that the way it worked?
One started at 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, yeah. And they had 5 class periods. They could either go home or stay for band.
Mm-hmm.
And the afternoon session could come early for band.
Mm.
And their classes were in the afternoon. That's when I decided if I'm going to keep this band together, I better plan something that might be exciting to do. And so I applied to play for the Cleveland Browns game.
Mm. Did you do that?
And we did that.
What year was that?
I don't know, 59 or 60.
Hmm.
We had a practice in the morning about 8 o'clock for an hour, and then we had one of the band members' father was a minister, and we had him an interdenominational service for band members.
It was on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
In the choir room, and all the kids went.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Cleveland and had to fight the drunks to get into. And the band did a good job, and I got fan mail from all over the country.
Was it a televised game?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that'd be neat if they still had. Well, they may not have televised. Did they televise the halftime show?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think they ever did. They always had.
Yeah.
You could hear the
Have
band playing in the
commentary.
background
Yeah, uh-huh.
on TV, but in the front were people talking about
Yeah,
the game.
uh-huh, yeah. So they still do that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they do that. Yeah, that's.
People around the country saw enough of it, though.
Yeah, you could kind of see it. Some of it.
At that time, Ted Tangenhorst was the one that had dreamed up those drills where you have a whole line marching down this way, and every 2 steps somebody peels off
Mm-hmm.
this way,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. So I did a lot of that kind of drill, and nobody else in the country was doing anything like that, and that's why it appealed to other people.
Well, they probably liked the music too if you were doing original arrangements of songs.
I had to be careful because we had to send the songs in. In fact, I did. Trying to think of what the.
You sometimes had to write and get permission, didn't you, from the
from the publisher.
From the publisher to do it because it was gonna. But then
I did some old time songs or something. I think try to avoid. But I don't remember what kind of old time songs. That's too bad. I'll go to my death and not even remember what we played for the Cleveland.
Maybe we can look it up somewhere.
doubtful. And who cares anyway? Except him.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know you went and played for a Cleveland Browns game. Was that just one time?
One time, and I never wanted to do it again.
It was a lot of work, I'm
They
sure.
didn't treat you very well. They didn't treat you very well. They told us where we were supposed to park, and when we got up there, we couldn't park there. The buses had to go way around the stadium. We had to get get everything on in a parking lot where traffic was moving around. Then we had to walk single file all the way around the stadium outside to get in, and there were guys that were trying to grab the girls in the band.
Yeah.
As we went by, and then we end up sitting in the dog pound or the bleachers at the
end zone, in the end zone, isn't that?
in the end zone, and you couldn't tell whether there was if there was a run, you couldn't tell it was a gain or a loss. And as far as you, all through my being a director, there's a lot of kids that don't, in the band, that don't know a thing about football. I mean, they're not there to. They'll cheer when there's a game, but they just don't know anything about it. Like one time, when the team gets up to the scrimmage line ready for a play, and they would be down in front of where the band sits, and the band would be yelling and so forth. The coach sent word up to me, tell the cheerleaders not to leave a cheer when we're at the line of scrimmage. And the head cheerleader came up to me and said, Mr. Hall, where is that line of scrimmage? I think I said, when they're ready for a play and they're right here in front of us, don't cheer, don't make noise because they can't hear the signals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what else can we tell you that's...
Well, that was probably especially challenging at Arlen Field because they were so close to because the stands are so close to the playing field. So all the noise from the stands and the sidelines was right there.
One time, early in my tenure there, we sat on the other side of the field, and they put wooden bleachers up in that little space between the sideline and the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow we got moved either to that space or to somewhere else afterwards, because people that kids that sat in the stands above us would throw pop cans down on the band.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes. Those were the days.
Good old days, yep. Well, Arlen Field is still there.
And it's still used.
Yes, they still use it,
Oh,
huh?
you
Yeah, well, that's
betcha.
quite a stadium for
Yes, it
high
is.
school.
Yeah, it's when they go to a visiting school and see what they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different situation.
Yeah.
Alfred Reed's festival.
Yeah, I remember that fanfare.
Da, 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 da,
Boom.
da, 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 and so forth.
Yeah. I remember playing that. I remember one year we played with the bagpipes too.
Oh yeah.
What's the Mansfield? I don't remember the name of the band, but the bagpipe band that was based in Mansfield.
Yeah.
I don't think that's still in existence.
Yeah, probably not. Beth Ramsey's dad was the drum major,
Drum major.
I don't remember the name
and
of it.
Kafer was in it, right? So I think I probably know why you did that now, because Beth was in the band and John Kafer was in the band. Was that his dad that was the drummer in that Scottish band?
I don't remember.
Was John Kafer in our band, or maybe he was at Malabar?
I think he's at Malabar.
He was. I think I was with him at Appleseed. That's why I'm thinking. Yeah, you're right. He was at Malabar.
There was a real good adult drummer from Shelby. I can't think of his name now. Who really got the drum section of the piper's band, bagpipe band.
Mm-hmm.
Really got them playing, knowing what they're doing, but they did it all by ear. So I went to some of their rehearsals and got them to play these things and notated them,
Mm-hmm.
so I could teach them to the drummers in the high school band. And I remember they really enjoyed it because they were challenging, and we had good drummers.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked fine. I made an arrangement of Scotland's Coming. Was that
Scotland the Brave, maybe?
Scotland the Brave and Amazing Grace. I remember Jerry Hudson said, of all the arrangements I made, Amazing Grace was the most beautiful one.
Well, I sort of remember that show. I think we marched down from the end zone on that one, do you remember what we did? Did the pipe band come from one end of the field and we came from the other, or something crazy like that?
I don't remember. I don't see how that could have worked.
No, maybe we marched out or we started playing and they marched on while we were playing. I remember something to do with the end zone for that particular one, but you're right, we didn't. Well, we would do a pre-game where we march out from the end zone, right?
Yes.
We'd march out to the middle of the field, playing across the field or something, and then play the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
And then maybe we just went off the sidelines then, probably, and up into the stands.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I remember raising the flag from when I was young.
Oh, yeah, when you were too young to know the difference, huh?
Mm-hmm. Too young to be in the band. I was raising the flag at the football games.
Oh.
With Bob Duhlman or Rob Fisher or that crew. Dan Fisher, probably.
I remember when they hired Charles Bradley. Did you know Charles Bradley?
I wasn't there when he was there. I don't think he came until the 90s.
When we hired him, and I always liked to have an assistant band director do something, so I said, conduct the Star Spangled Banner.
A lot of the bands now seem to have student conductors. Avery's band has several kids that will get up and conduct some of the pieces. Or most of the pieces, actually.
I would hate to put a good player off the field, especially like Adams.
Yeah, Dan Adams.
Well, I was thinking of Adam, our grandson. His band up in Michigan only had about 45 people in it, and they have two or three directors on the side who are probably good players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would add to the thing.